welcome, BlokStar. Is that what you
Yes,
go
sir.
by as your artist name?
Yes,
BlokStar.
sir. Yes, sir.
It's a
BlokStar.
it's a very cool artist name. When I first saw it, I was like, that's a good name. It reminded me a bit of a Block Party, which is a British kind of band. But would you be able to give us a bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, I'm originally from Knoxville, Tennessee. I moved here in Nashville back in the 90s, but 98. But I, I started doing music after I dropped out of, did a couple of years of college and found out it wasn't for me. But at that time, I had the passion to write music, started writing music, and eventually, man, my buzz started coming around the town, and I started opening up, doing shows for 3 6 Mafia, T.I., a couple of other artists. But after that, was supposed to sign a deal. It kind of went sour. But I continued to write, man. I just been independent artist that's just been hungry and wanting to get my music heard. So just been grinding ever since, and just been putting out small, I guess, singles or, a
Seems the
little
way
bit
to
here
do
and
it
there.
these days, doesn't it? The single method. So how long have you been doing it for then?
Yeah, I've been rapping since I say about 2000, early 2000. Well,
Okay,
right
so
at 2000, yeah.
so quite a while then. You're well versed in the music industry then, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I kind of turned down a couple of management deals that I had on the table, but it, wasn't in my best interest. So I kind of took the long route with things, as I kind of explained in the music. I took the back route, but you can't sign every deal and everything that comes your way because
No.
there's too
Yeah,
many stories.
every artist has that same story. They sign something and then they realize it wasn't for them, and they're getting screwed over. So you prefer the independent route?
At the moment, yes, I do. I do work with a label. Shout out to Beyond the Fence. They're my team. They help me with my management, promotions, and things of that nature. But I'm still an independent artist, and I have full say of what I do. But um, they're definitely a big support.
Yeah. So I know it was a while back, but I do tend to ask like, what first got you into music? What first got you started?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what first really. I've always been a fan of music. I started playing the saxophone back in elementary school. Learned how to read and write music, and just being able to look at a sheet of music and play it from top to bottom, concrete, and then jazz it up, and just all of that, putting your own thing onto it, always fascinated me. So once I had a chance to get my own instrumentals, you write a little bit to it, jazz it up, and come up with my own style. And
Yeah.
that's what motivated me to continue to
I
do it.
know. I I mean, I'm just assuming it's easier these days than it was, say, like 20 years ago to record, make your own stuff, and release it and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Back in the day, man, I mean, I would, and I still had same habits now where I do about 2 or 3 songs at one time, and I go and record all of them at the same time or whatever. But back then, it was, book, everybody's schedule had to match up. You had to book the studio time,
Yeah.
and I would definitely have multiple songs ready to go because I don't want to waste my time, their time, and it's a lot of money involved when you got to book the time, book an engineer, then you still got to get it mixed and mastered. It's a lot of time and money involved.
Yeah.
Now it's way easier.
Yeah. It's a lot easier, but it's more saturated in a way, isn't it? Um,
Yeah, definitely.
so
Yeah.
if you could let me know like who inspired you to make music, and like what was your like musical journey like in terms of influences?
My top influence is gonna be Outkast. Ever since I heard the Players Ball,
Okay.
that was a wrap for me. I mean, they changed the game Southern hip hop. But of course, Nas, the '96 album Illmatic, that was the storytelling, and I loved everything about the deliveries. Um,
Yeah.
of course, the 8 Ball MJG, all the Southern Tennessee underground rap, man. I was 3 6 Mafia. Everybody had a pretty big part of my impact.
Yeah. I was I mean, unexpected to hear Outkast as like main influence, but that's nice. That's refreshing. I don't tend to hear that as one of like the first main influences. I like it. So if you could describe the music you typically create, is there music that you typically create? What is it?
Really, typically the music I create is really like my story, man. My life. It's typically things that I've seen or things that I've been around or experienced myself. But really, uh, I can't just
I don't
can't
like
really
to pen
describe it.
people into one like genre or field.
Yeah.
But if you could give it a broad like genre, what would you say?
Um, I would say definitely Southern hip hop.
Okay. Yeah. That's a world I'm kind of familiar with, but not too familiar with. Obviously, we're kind of like worlds apart in a way. So
Mhm.
what makes Southern hip hop different from other genres of hip hop?
With Southern hip hop, we're more storytelling, like the how Outkast, the Goody Mobs,
Yeah.
A Volume JG. We like to tell stories, more like a blues on top of a nice hard hitting track, basically. But a lot of singing. We
Right.
a lot of chorus and melodies. Up north, you have a lot of more metaphors, similes.
Yeah.
Um,
Does that kind
you
of
know,
coincide with like Southern like country seems to be a lot of storytelling kind of thing. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of around that same
definitely.
place with yeah. So less metaphorical, more like to the point storytelling, like you said. Okay.
Hmm.
So you're here for this interview to mainly promote your latest EP, which is called Constellations. And
Yes.
I've given it a listen and I really, really enjoyed it. Actually, it was great. And it should be out actually in the next hour or so on the YouTube. So I'm gonna on the YouTube. I sound old then on YouTube.
Hmm.
It's in the description below. It'll be at the end of this video too. So if anyone wants to see my reaction to Constellations, check it out. It's definitely worth your time. What is the background to the EP? What was the inspiration, and what was your creative process like when it came to making that?
Well, the funny thing about making the EP was I for weeks I had a creative itch in the back of my head to get started back writing. I kind of stopped. I got custody of my kids back in I think it was 2012 of my three boys, and it was kind of sudden. So
Yeah.
once I kind of let everything go at that point and focused on raising them, getting them through college, high school, and to the point where they are now out of the
Yeah.
house. So that was pretty much my inspiration on getting back into it. I got a couple of calls about featuring on a couple of people's tracks, and once they sent those beats to me, that kind of started the juices flowing. So I did those couple of songs for them, and then
Mm.
I got a call from my guy, the O. Shout out to the O, who's doing amazing music right now. He called and offered to produce the whole EP for me, and he did an amazing job. And all he did, he sent
Lucky.
me, man, lucky me. He sent me the beats, man, and I thanked him over and over because I told him it was like the beats virtually pulled those lyrics out of me, and it was basically a lot of. I give that album 100% truth on everything that I talk about. Um,
Mm.
and it just came from my experiences raising my kids and just being a dad and transitioning from the street to
Yeah.
being a dad and everything that entails.
It's a different world, isn't it? A whole different world,
Different
raising
world.
kids and everything. So, did you not create music in the time when you were looking after your kids from 2012 onwards?
I did. I actually was creating a lot of mixtape
Right.
um, singles because at that time everybody was doing mixtapes. Nobody was doing albums anymore. You got DJ Drama. You
Yeah.
have a lot of DJ Khaled guys just doing straight mixtapes. So I was just dropping mixtapes, and if you want to hear those mixtapes, you can hear all of those songs on SoundCloud under BlokStar. I have all of that. Reverb Nation and SoundCloud. I couldn't put those songs on, of course, the main distros, but
Okay, so these are
um,
just exclusive to SoundCloud. These mixtapes, then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm
It's
completely lost.
basically singles. Yeah, it's basically singles. Maybe about 12 to 15 different singles of all. I did a couple of Beanie Siegel beats, a couple of Jay-Z beats, Fabulous beats.
Okay,
I
so
ripped them
these are like
apart. So check them out.
BlokStar deep cuts here, really.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um,
Unhidden lost files. Yeah.
yeah, but all the I guess that was kind of the ticking over whilst you were looking after your kids more than like this now. Does this feel more professional and like needs to be published?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. This is way. It's kind of almost like I kind of picked up where I left off in 2005 when I kind of had the record deal and the management deals and everything on the table, and the ball was rolling. I'm in the studio, I'm doing shows, and it's kind of like I just straight picked up from there. I
Nice.
hadn't done any shows yet, but the motivation and the wheels are still spinning as fast as they were back then. So I'm trying to keep. Now the name of the game is to get your fan base up. So I'm just trying to get my fan base up,
Yeah, it's
and
all electronic now.
yeah,
It's getting
it's all
numbers
about
really.
numbers. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all
it's a
about
complete
numbers. Yeah.
numbers game. It's an algorithm game. You've got to try and work it. It's not as useful
Hmm.
releasing an album, but more EPs now or singles is the way to go, isn't it? So a
No.
lot's changed. It's a quick, fast world now. What could if you could choose one song from the album that is your favorite? I say album EP. What would it be and why?
Well, my favorite is Never. And Never talks about a lot of personal issues with my family, the passing of my dad.
Mm.
Um, a tear or two was shed writing that the Never. So that kind of always took a piece of my heart. Um, if I had a second to choose, it would be Control. But yeah,
Mm.
Never.
That's very very strongly convicted there on that's the one. I would say that my reaction to the album, one thing that did stand out to me was lyrically, it was very strong. It wasn't going for the obvious lyrics that you always hear, and it felt like it was from the heart. And that's so important in trying to connect with your audience is actually having something to talk about, and you could feel that throughout. So yeah, if you could give a reason for people to listen to this album, what would you say? What makes it stand out from other music and other southern
Uh,
artists out there?
Well, for one, you won't hear any auto tunes on my albums. I'm not auto tunes. It's not it's not a lot of gimmick rap. I'm not talking about. I'm not celebrating the street life. I live the street life. I talk about the street life. I'm not celebrating the street life. What I'm promoting and I want everybody to hear is what happens after street life. What do you do if you know, successfully,
Get
which
out from
rarely
that.
happens, get out from the game and you got a couple of 100,000. Do you give back to the hood, or do you get out of the hood and go try to live a whole different life? My thing is give back to the hood. I got a single coming out soon called Trap the Trap. Basically, if you trapping in the trap, when you get out the trap, go buy the trap, fix it up, and
Right.
get it nice, you know? So that's my thing, man. Just, if you buy, if you getting your money out the hood, put your money back in the hood. And
Yeah.
that's what I want everybody to do. That's
I
what I
like
want
that
them to know.
message about improving your life, making a change, getting out of what's quite difficult to get out of, but also giving back to it. It shows a lot, um, and that adds to the character. So yeah, but really good. I was going to ask, but you kind of answered it anyway. Have you ever performed music, and do you plan on having any upcoming shows?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I've performed before. I used to, like I said, open up for 3-6
Yeah.
throughout Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama. So I've done plenty of shows. Definitely looking to get on the stage now because and due to the times and the fact I want to gain a fan base, it's way different now.
Yeah.
Now that I'm building the audience, I want to have shows where I can go to the show and they know the music now. Used to, I go to the show, nobody's heard it. I got to pass out my CD, and they're standing at me, looking at me like a deer in the headlights, trying to figure out what I'm saying. But now that I can build an audience, so basically, yeah, I want to do shows, but I want to build the fan base first, and
Yeah.
I want the demand to be there. You know, I want people to want me to come to their city.
Yeah. I mean, what's different these days is you can do a show and just have a poster that has your name on it, so people can search you on Spotify, and you're sorted. Then they've added you, and they might listen to you later. You know, it's a different world, and that's kind of what my next question is leading to. And we've kind of touched on it through this interview. But how do you feel the internet has impacted your approach to being an artist? What's easier? What's harder?
It's easier because you can do everything yourself, and that's also the hardest part, is doing everything yourself. You have to I mean, you have to market yourself every day. You have to you have to call the producers. You have to find out whether this is mastered or not, or you got to be on the producers about a timeline. You're doing everything. You want to get shows, you want to book shows, but when all of that comes, everything's on you. So that's the hardest part too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's in some ways it's beautiful that we can all make music and all promote it, but that makes it so much harder because you've got this sea of people to try and fight with, haven't you, for that attention? Yeah. So you briefly talked about a single coming up, Trap the Trap. Is that right?
Yes.
So is that what's next for you? Is there anything else that's coming up in the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm gonna do between now and an album. I hadn't been told to hush hush, so I'm working on a collabo album with the O. We're doing a collabo. We've actually started recording already. Nice. And so we're working on that. And in between that getting done and between that finishing up, I'm going to just continue to drop a few singles. So I really have about 3 or 4 singles in the pipeline. Nice. That I want to drop this between now and the summer, and then we'll come out with the collabo album.
Nice. I think that's another thing that's changed as well, is you release something and then 3 months later you have to keep the ball rolling and release the next thing. Release it. It's not like you release an album and then 3 years later release something else. You have to keep that conversation going.
Yeah, you'll lose your whole buzz if you wait that long these days. It's almost like technology. Technology. You go get you a new MPC machine today. Tomorrow is old.
Yeah, so, that's it. Well, yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. It's been great to chat with you. If you haven't checked it out, check out the EP Constellations. It is worth your time. It's 5 songs, but 5 really, really good songs. So I recommend it. But thank you.
Man, thank you. I appreciate your review, man. Appreciate the interview. You did great. Thanks.